I'm Shayna. I'm the Manager of Production and Research at ISA. And today we are talking to my writing mentors, who I've been with for 10 years, Joe Bratcher and Judy Farrell from Twin Bridges Screenwriting Salon. So a big thank you to them and to everyone, all the other Twin Bridgers who are joining us today. I see your names. And I guess we'll just go around and introduce everybody, tell us what you do, and then we'll get started.
Hi, everybody. Max Tim, if you don't know who I am, I'm the Director of Education with the International Screenwriters Association. I also have my own consulting company called The Story Farm. I work on the development side of things with the ISA too. I've started to do a lot more of one-off script evaluations for ISA writers. If you want me to read your script, you can go to the development evaluation or script notes section of the ISA page. You should be, and that's kind of part of this conversation today, allowing other people to read your work. I understand that after a while, if you're paying for it, it gets expensive. And that's obviously one of the reasons we can look at writing groups. But yeah, I've been doing a lot more of that. I have a whole bunch of writers that I work one-on-one with. I've been leading writers groups and in-class sessions and working with writers and teaching for a long time. It's, I think, almost 15 years, 16 maybe. I've been with the ISA for 6 years. And, you know, I help with these types of events and a whole bunch of other things. But there were a couple things I thank you, Craig, for reaching out and asking what are the points am I going to make. We're offering a discount on the craft course, an online course that the ISA offers. You can go to thecraftcourse.com and you can check out that. Being in a group of like-minded people who are looking to be supportive, and I'm assuming that's what Shayna and our guests are going to be talking about today, but the camaraderie that can be created and had and relationships made and friendships made, even if it's an online group, honestly, you can just, it's so helpful to have other people read your work. And then when you're reading other people's work, you start noticing some of the things that you could do better, or the things that, oh, actually, I'm actually doing pretty well. Or, you know, reading and evaluating other people's material is really kind of priceless. So I'm sure that's what we're going to get into today. But anyway, that's me.
I am Carissa. I'm the marketing and social media manager. So today we are going to have prizes for you guys. Yay. So if you go to our Twitter, I'll put it in the chat as well, @NetworkISA, and you tell us what your favorite piece of advice from today's panel is. It can be anything about writing groups, anything you heard. Just tweet us, and then we will pick prizes, and we'll private message all of the winners within a few days. So look out for that. And if you don't follow us on our other social channels, please do. It's pretty easy. We're at Network ISA across all our social channels. We have a lot of exciting things coming up for you guys. We encourage you to check out our site as well. We have a lot more events coming up. I don't want to take up too long, so I will pass it over to the lovely Scott.
Now I got to live up to lovely. Okay. But before I get into it, Max, do you have your next live webinar scheduled yet?
Thank you for reminding. Yes, next week, Wednesday at 11 a.m. LA time. And you can, where I'm going to be talking about the levels of development and evaluation, which kind of coincide a little bit with what we're talking about today, how to read other people's projects, what you should be thinking about. Really good readers, professional long-term readers are thinking about these things unconsciously. We're going to be covering that. It's about an hour-ish, and then, of course, open to any questions at all that you have about the industry. Free for ISA members. It used to be free only for Connect members, but we've been extending that over the summer and into now, which is almost the fall. But anyway, yeah, thank you, Scott. You can go to the ISA classes page on the ISA website.
And yeah, speaking of classes, I do a lot of outreach to outside organizations, try to build this network that we call the website, the ISA website, reach out to great classes, great consultants, and contests, lots and lots of contests. So we're always adding more contests, and that's something that I oversee. The other thing I am very involved with is our Pro Tips and Tricks page and our YouTube page. We constantly have new videos posting. This will be one such example. Every live event will go live on Sunday mornings, 10 o'clock in the morning, LA time. And then we're also, even though it's been a long time since we've been able to get out to a film festival and do new interviews, we've had such a huge backlog that the slowdown, the shutdown has actually kind of allowed us to get caught up. So more and more stuff from even last year's Austin Film Festival are still coming out this week. You can see all that stuff on our YouTube page. So should subscribe to that. And also on our pro tips and tricks page, again, I will include those links. And I see Felicity better be ready to go because she came in just in time for me to hand it off to her. So take it away, Miss Felicity Wren.
I came in under the deadline. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I was actually on a call. Oh, sorry, who am I? I'm Felicity Wren. I'm the Director of Development. I'm wearing my blue glasses, trying to look intelligent. No, literally, I have no makeup on. I was on a call talking to the Shoot Your Short director, and we're talking about this amazing short film that we're producing at the moment, and I'm very excited about that. And at the moment, we're just in the talking stage because we can't actually do anything due to COVID. However, I'm the Director of Development. I work on the development slate. The development slate is a top tier of writers that the ISA have collated, and we are doing amazing things for these writers. 2 got managers in the last couple of weeks. We're having incredible meetings, meeting anonymous content this week, and then next week we're meeting the head commissioner of the BBC. Slightly anxious about that one because it's the old country. So it's been great, actually. We're really getting our writers out there, and please, if you are a writer and you're an ISA Connect member, do get a development evaluation, or do enter our contests, or do post success stories, because that is how we find you. And more than ever, I need to find these amazing writers with these incredible voices, with stories to tell, because people now think that I've got them, and so I need to have them. So please do let us know what you're doing and what you're up to. It does make a difference if you keep your profile up to date, and if you're on the showcase and you get a poster and you do a My Story Matters video, it really does make a difference. So I think that's it. Sorry if I rushed that. This isn't a pajama top. It does look like that. It's actually something I wear out in the world. Although,
very nice.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, Craig, have you spoken yet? Sorry.
I have not said anything. Hey, everybody. I'm Craig James, founder of the ISA. And just to support everything everybody's been saying, we're continuing to try to drive a lot more traffic or content, to the site. So whether you're a basic member or ISA Connect member, there's a lot of videos and podcasts, and we've been posting a lot more writing gigs because, as Felicity mentioned, we're connecting with some really incredible producers. We just had a conversation with one on Monday that's looking for $1 to $2 million features. So with unique stories. So check out the writing gigs page and please submit. Add your success stories, add those awards. She's not kidding. We do notice that stuff. That's how you get seen and draw your attention. We have a lot of members, but when you post your success stories, they're all read. Most of the content on the site is read, and we're trying to get through every screenplay on the site. So at some level, if you're adding your content to the site, we're going to take a peek at it. And that's another way to get noticed. But like, shine a light on yourself by creating your amazing profile with your award wins and those success stories. And like she said, also the My Video, get on there and pitch yourself. Tell these producers who you are. There's some incredible stories on there that are very touching. And as a producer, to get to know you through that 90 seconds that you're talking about what you're most passionate about really draws the attention of those producers, agents, and managers. So keep encouraging you to build out your profiles on our site and add as much content as you possibly can. And I will pass it back. This is where Shana is, right over here on my video. Over to Shana.
I'm not there. I'm over here. Over here. We want to thank I have one question for Max and Scott, but first I want to just do a shout out to our sponsors: Page Turner Screenplays, Killer Shorts, the Great American Script Contest, Capital Fund Screenplay Competition, Vancouver International Women in Film Festival. And also, if you guys go to our events page, we have group writing sprints with Writer's Block and the Grill presented by The Wrap. So those are 2 upcoming events outside of us, but also we have some great events coming up also. So go check those out. On the 25th of September, we're doing a talk about writing with the law of attraction, which if you guys know the secret, if you don't, are you under a rock or what? But it's a fun way to sort of bring that idea into your writing. September 30th, we have this really great conversation class with Suzanne Gunderson. We've been doing energy tapping with her. And so she has a writer-centric course called Just Right Now. And she's going to clear blocks and kind of get you through some things that maybe you're dealing with right now currently during all of this craziness to maybe get you to a place where you can write. But she's awesome. So please join us for that. October 9th, we're doing a conversation about making it through the development gauntlet with writer, producer, director Dan Merchant. And then it's not up there yet, but very excited for October 23rd, we're doing a conversation with Master of Horror, Charles Band. He doesn't do this stuff. This is really cool. And I have an inside to him. He's my father-in-law. So join us for that. That'll be great. Before we get started with Joe and Judy from Twin Bridges, Max and Scott were at a haunted house last night, and I want to know how it was.
Well, I got to say that I was there for a music video shoot that became then a paranormal investigation. And so the band, I have to give a shout out to my fiance's amazing band, Sunspot. And I know I better be biased, right? But I am biased, but they are excellent. And this is the second time I got to work on a real music video for them. And the previous one was featured in the TV show Hellier that came out last year. And I love how that video turned out. So I'm just going to put that in the chat too, right there. But yeah, we got to shoot at this mansion that was built in 1856. Yeah. And we had the whole run of the place. This is the first, post-COVID production I've been part of. And it was possible because we were able to rent out this whole space. So it was basically just the band, myself, and then Max, who is residing in that neighborhood now, got to come out and play with us a little bit as well. I was on set shooting most of the time. Max got to have some of the more, the fun with ghost hunting.
Yeah, Scott and I didn't get a chance to investigate together because he was still putting that music video. And then this will be a surprise to Felicity. Felicity and I are roommates, by the way, for everybody. I mean, obviously not at the moment since I'm in Wisconsin, but she makes fun of me because I always go to bed so early. I didn't go to bed until 2:30. Yeah. It was so late. I started to really get into the whole process of being being at this place. And I've known of the Maxwell Mansion for a long time. I grew up in Delavan. Lake Geneva is right next door. My parents live in Lake Geneva right now. Really neat old mansion. And I wanted to have a writer's retreat there a few years ago. And that's how I, specifically knew about it. And then Scott said, hey, we've got the whole mansion rented out for this one night. And I'm like, what? I'll be there. So it was fun. We did this thing called the Estes method, where you put noise canceling headphones and you have a sweep of different radio frequencies. When I watch ghost investigation shows, Felicity hates that part because it's really loud. But I had it in my ears, and I had shades on, so to speak. Yeah, blindfold, and just listened in a separate room to any type of responses that came out. And then there were two people in the other room that were asking questions, and then I just really started to get into it, man. It was wild. It was fun.
Yeah, I think you're blowing their mind. Even this morning, everybody was talking about it. And so I shot overnight. It was an exhausting night. but yeah, Max is a hero of ours. He was so good. They wouldn't stop talking about how great you did. I
was making it all up. It was all fiction. No, I wasn't. It was fun though, and I posted some stuff on Instagram. And if you want to follow me, I'm Instamax9 on Instagram. But is that where you saw it, Shana, or something? How did you know that I did that?
You were talking about it.
We talked about it on Monday on our company call.
Oh, on Monday. That's right. Yeah.
But I saw your videos. I just wanted to know if you saw a ghost or if someone.
I did see ghosts. I mean, I could go into a much longer diatribe about the whole process, but it was really fun. And like you said, Scott, it was like the first. I don't really go on productions very often, but you do. And it was the first time I felt, wow, I'm in a normal place with other people, and we're just doing things together that are normal. I mean. Relatively normal
for me, totally normal.
But hanging out, and so that felt good.
I couldn't believe Max was like, I'm, I can say maybe up to midnight, I was impressed by that. And then he found me at midnight. He's like, yeah, I'm going back in.
Aren't you supposed to stay up till 3 because it's like the witching hour?
That is one of the theories. That comes from this Christian tradition of praying at midnight and then praying at 6 in the morning, and then 3 in the morning is like the longest gap without prayers. So it could be the most devious time. And we, I think we were all kind of done. The investigation was done by then. We were still up and active, but nothing happened to us at that time. We ate pizza at that time.
A little shout out to Sunspot in the chat. That must
Amen.
be Wendy saying Max was super attentive for the spirits. I don't know about that, but it was fun. But so huge thank you, Scott, and to his partner in crime and Wendy's partner in the band, Mike, for letting me come over. That was a lot of fun.
That was great.
Awesome.
So happy to see you too. It's also the first time I've seen you since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, felt longer. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Happy
early
Halloween.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to bring Joe and Judy up. Joe, can you hear me? And I'll have all you guys go off. We will start our talk about writing groups. And I'm giving a shout out to all of the Twin Bridgers who are here. I see you guys all in the list of participants. So hello.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
Well,
Good.
Long time no see. What I'm trying to get rid of.
I wish I was at that haunted house.
Yeah, that sounded great. What a cool,
Yeah, right.
thank you. I just before we get started, I want to thank ISA. You guys seem like a really cool bunch of people. Maybe we should just ask them questions instead of.
I know, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching that whole intro there. You guys seem like a great bunch and you have fun with each other, but yet you're serious about the work, and I like that.
Well, thanks,
Anyway.
Judy.
Good work, you guys. It's really exciting hearing about all the stuff you're doing. That's great.
I'm going to let you guys tell us about Twin Bridges Screenwriting Salon, how it started, how long you've been going. So we'll just start there. I think that's a good place to start for people who don't know about what you do.
Back in the day, when we were writing movies of the week, one right after the other, and then the strike came, and suddenly we were
Out of work is what we were.
or writing secretly or whatever. Anyway, this woman that we had worked on a movie with, she was a producer, she gave us a call and she said, I have a position at UCLA. Have you guys ever thought about teaching? And we said, no, but sounds interesting. And anyway, long story short, we ended up teaching screenwriting at UCLA for about 8 years.
9 years, yeah.
And the students started wanting to go deeper and spend more time. And we ended up then moving from UCLA to our home. Started out with one class, and then it went to 2 and 3 and 4. And we were kind of learning with them. I mean, we've written a lot of stuff, but having a class was just so energizing. Having classes and hearing different opinions and people disagreeing and agreeing, but always with respect. Or a couple of times, I saw Joe once at UCLA, when some guy who never did anything but just sit there and he said something like, I can't remember, it was so long ago, but it was something like, God, I would never go to that movie. And Joe said, and just invited the guy out. But he was really the exception to the rule. Mostly it was like you guys, I hear you guys are so supportive of each other, and it's really great. I am now a fan of ISA.
Thanks, Judy.
But we started.
How long have you guys been doing this?
31 years. And we've been married for 34. We wrote for 3 years, and then the strike happened, and we weren't working. And fell in love with teaching at UCLA. And it just grew. It just really did grow. I think we were there about 8 years, and then it got the feeling that we should be at our home and the environment should change. So for over 30 years, we've been meeting here at the house. I think that's we left the shark.
The shark.
He got the shark for our granddaughter who's 7, but he liked it so much it stayed.
It's joined the group. But it's really important or for our process to be here, to be in the house. It became a very social situation. Once a week, maybe even more people would come, probably 15 people to our living room, and we would work. We would work scripts. And over the 30 years, the process grew and grew and grew. It became all about the work. It was wonderful to watch. I think the most important thing I can say first is that we don't take ourselves seriously. We have a great time. It became a family. Some people have actually been with us for 25 years now, I guess. And some of them have been with us 2.5 months. But we take the work very seriously. And I know we're talking about workshops. And for me, that's the most important thing. It's all about the work. Everything else is secondary, but the work is all, and hearing inspired young writers and young talent get their work together so they can present it to the industry.
And feed off each other and to take notes. And we've even had producers call us that are working with students that say, thank you for sending this person to us because they know how to take notes. Most of the writers we've worked with don't know how to take notes. And so that was great. And
so how does your writing group work? So for someone who's never been, like when I joined, I'll just tell a little bit of mine. When I joined 10 years ago to Twin Bridges, I was terrified. And I was excited, but I was terrified. And not because I was scared of somebody hearing my words. It was just, I didn't think that I was at the level that would fit in a writing group. I didn't think that, I was like, oh God, they're going to make fun of me or, things like that. So will you just kind of explain how a night works in the group? Like when you bring somebody new in, how it runs, how you explain it to a new person.
Well, the way I explain it is that they come and they sit and they're sitting with people who are at all different levels of the business. Some of them are making huge amounts of money, and some of them are still waiting tables. And some of them are working on 5 pages, and some of them are working on complete scripts. So it's a constant process. And by sitting there, like when you're new, you get to mostly learn from listening to what the other people are doing and the input from the room and myself and Judy. It's also to make you comfortable. It's to put the new writer in a comfort zone, because everyone in that room has been where that new writer is. Terrified. Mm-hmm. And so all the notes and for the new person is all about supporting their vision. I think that's probably another really important thing. It's not about suggesting what they would do with their script, but it's supporting the writer's vision. And I think that's after all these years, that's why we are still here and still successful, is because it's all about supporting and bringing out and making it clear what that vision is.
Right. So what you guys do essentially is you, now it's Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning classes, and each person in the group for that time can sign up and give themselves a deadline of like, I'm reading on this date. And at that date, when you're reading, now we do it on Zoom, but we used to do it in the room. You print out your script or you send it, via PDF if someone has an iPad. And we do a table read where we assign roles to people and we read however many pages. There's no, you have to have this done. It's not like a writer's boot camp where this is your page count for today. It's wherever you're at in the process. And we table read, and then we take a short coffee break, and then coffee, and then we give notes. And will you guys talk about as a writer, when you're starting in the group, no matter what level you're at, why you don't allow people to give notes at the beginning and why that's important?
Sure. Now, I also think this is one of the caveat for those. First of all, I think that writers groups are wonderful. I think they work, obviously, after 31 years. I think it becomes, Max had said it earlier, a community of like-minded artists. And it's very important to be in that kind of positive environment, because out there in the real world, it's not always so positive. But in here, it's safe. It's this is where you make your mistakes. This is where you learn. This is where you grow. And
so people are honest but respectful.
Oh, absolutely. And the only ego in the room is pretty much mine and Judy's. Everything else is about the work. And what else is grand is that you asked me about where they are, the process. You can join, you may have just an idea. So, there's also this. There is a way to get onto the page. And so you can bring in and you can talk about the idea. You can talk about what you want to do. And then it's a first 5 pages and you talk about character. And for us here, it's all about character. And once the new person gets comfortable with that idea and our process, I also want to say there are probably 8,000 processes out there, and we're just one, and this one works, and as it does others. And but for us, it's almost all character all the time. And then no matter whether you're working on 5 pages or 30 pages, the first act, or the 60 pages, once again, it's all about tracking the character and making that structure work because of the character.
And you ask about a newcomer coming in, and Joe will tell them for the first couple of times, don't just listen, just listen. And we didn't used to do that, and we found that if a new person came in and then they started asking a bunch of questions about something that the rest of the group had been working on for 6 months, and they knew the changes that had been made, and they knew the vision that the writer had, it sort of took a lot of the air out of the room. So we just found that it, correct me if there's more.
No,
more
that's exactly right.
But it's not only for the writer's sake, but it's mostly for the writer's sake, because we're working on that person's work that night. And if a new person comes in and starts asking questions or starts putting in their ideas, it takes away from the attention that the writer, who's worked so hard, is supposed to get. And sometimes they get a little antsy because they really want to jump in.
Yeah, mostly that happens.
Yeah, and Joe has to say, remember what I told you about? Oh yeah, right. And but it works much better if they just listen and kind of get the rhythm of the way this works. And then once they join in, like I was thinking of the new girl, once this specific person that just joined us about 6 months ago, once she started in, then she really had the rhythm of the room and didn't just come in with her ideas the way this person should change everything, because she hadn't heard what had come before. Anyway, It just works much better if they just listen for the first few times before they start.
And also in our group, which I'd also like to throw this out, but I work with the individual writers anywhere from, 2 hours a week to 4 hours a week when they first join us, bringing them up to speed, giving them all this information about how you really learn in the room. And once you accept and you start hearing and the nuances of, because they're going to be there. The new writer's going to be there. And when they come across this, then we'll start working. And I think
Joe spends, I have to give him a compliment. Joe spends more time with students individually when we're not even in class than anyone I've ever seen. And I used to be in another writing class when I was at UCLA before we even met, really. But the amount of time that he gives to students, I think, is really remarkable. because he cares.
Well,
You know, and I think that makes a difference because you care so much. Well, I care too, but I can't do what he does.
Right.
I do other things, but I can't do what he does. So that's why it's good that we teach together.
Yeah.
It was the same way when we were writing scripts all the time. He loved research and all that stuff, and I loved dialogue and character. And so we.
It's a good team.
Yeah, a team. If something came up and we had a disagreement, we would go through it 3 times, and if the person said no 3 times, the other person would give up that suggestion. I would usually go in the. I can't believe I'm going to say this.
This is a webinar, Judy. So.
I used to go into the bathroom and stay in there for a few minutes and then come out with an answer. Joe said, you've been to the bathroom. Okay, yeah.
The art of arguments. Go in the bathroom, take a moment, and then come out.
Anyway, whatever works, right?
And what else is my being and working with them also, it's first of all my joy, but I also know where they are in their process. So when they come into the room full of the people who've been with us for a long time, I can guide the group as to what they need to hear when. If they start giving notes that maybe as for a person who's almost finishing their scripts, well, that's a little too early. So I can say, write that down, hold that, and we'll talk about it in about 4 months. So, it really allows me to, and if they bring in their first 5 pages to the group also knows where they are on those first 5 pages. And then as they extend the script, they also knows where the character has been, how the character has changed, where we're going with the story, how the story has changed. And so it's very much everyone is on the same page. I hate to say that, but they are. And once again, it's support. They know that character so well that the notes support tracking and get emotionally and structurally the character moving on.
Right. I think it's also the same concept of you can't be a good writer unless you read a lot. You can't give good notes unless you know how to listen and hear notes.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be giving notes until you hear how other people who have been doing it for a long time successfully give notes. I mean, I give a lot of notes now in our group. Sorry, everybody. But I've spent a long time. I didn't speak up for a long time because I really had to thoughtfully remember how to give a note, which is, this is not your story. This is their story. And you're not going to put your stuff in it. You're going to tell them what you don't understand or what doesn't track or what doesn't work for you or what isn't clear. You're not going to say, well, if it was my script, I would do this.
Because all of that is soaked into you so beautifully, your notes are really valued too. I have to say that. But you've been there 10 years. You've listened and you've soaked it in, and your stuff is so good. Yeah.
And truthfully, sometimes Joe gives a note and I go, holy crap, that is so, you know what I mean? Like, it's always learning. There's never a time, even as experienced as you can be or have been in something. Yeah.
For us too, a student will give a note and I go, oh, I didn't think of that. Why didn't I think of that? That's perfect. That's the answer.
If the note isn't necessarily right, it may spark a really wonderful idea in one of the other writers, and they build on that. And then all of a sudden,
the class goes wild.
It really is magic. I mean, it happens. You can feel it. All of a sudden, there's this energy in the room, and it's spot on. It's right on. The writer is getting it. The room is getting it. And then, then you can take and put that on the script you have. What else it does is when you get into the real world and you're sitting in a room full of producers and you're doing the director's pass and you've done the writer's pass, each one of those people in the real world have notes. And the better you can take them and the more you take them and are able to make them look really good because you're able to impose that and then, mesh that into the script, and, it's all organic and authentic because you've had 8 million notes from us. If you can take the 8 million notes from us for a year, listening to a producer or director's notes comes not nearly so difficult.
And quite often you don't even need to argue with the director. You just kind of nod, or producer, nod your head, make a little change that fits with your script, little secrets here. And they think you have done this incredible job. I remember, I think it was maybe our first movie of the week that we had this location for one day, and one of the two main actresses were in this scene, and one of the actresses got sick, and the producers, the CBS came to us and said, we don't know what to do. All I did was give the lines to the other woman. That's all I did. And they thought it was brilliant, the change that I'd done and the time that I must have spent. And sometimes you just have to make work with whatever is there. And if you've done it enough, you can do that.
And what's a writer's group? What a writer's group is also a continuum. It's before, the competitions and all of that's so important. The connections, finding out what one particular person thinks, it's absolutely important and necessary in our business. And what we are is just another element. That is one thing. I mean, if you don't have a group, the first thing we would say to you would probably find a college in your group, in your area, and join that. And then start, find the ISAs, start talking, start networking. And then you come here, and it's 10 weeks of working every week on your script and getting that date, so you have that date, and then it's getting notes, and then you also get the next date. So you usually read twice in a 10-week session, so and you get that information, and then you and I talk about it. There's the other thing that I want, a group like this. If you can find maybe an older writer, not older, but
he pointed at me.
Yeah. Further along, so that your notes are not coming from the same place that you are. There are wonderful books out there, and you just don't hurry about it. Take your time. If you can find that person who's been there, and then they can kind of guide you without demanding, without screaming and yelling at you. It's all very supportive and fun. It is. We're a family. We are. I mean, we have great Christmas parties. Not this year, but for 30 years we had Christmas parties. But and there would be 120 people here, and that's because it is a family. It's a family, and we have had huge successes. Huge successes. So what we all do is, we just rent out the theater, and all of us as en masse come and scream and yell and applaud at these wonderful, very successful movies. And they were, they've been working in this room, and all of a sudden you would see a little piece in the movie, and then you go, oh yeah. They did that. They went in there. They learned that piece of, the nuance right here in this room, because they did it for 10 years, 15 years. And
they're newcomers.
But yeah, they're brand newcomers to the world of making millions and millions of dollars. But it really is being a safe place, finding a group of like-minded people who are excited and who love doing this, love the process.
That doesn't mean they're like-minded in their tastes.
No.
Oh yeah, we're all different.
Scripts or styles or anything, but they're like-minded in that they want to help each other and support each other's success.
There's another wonderful thing about a workshop. You get every genre, every character, every movie you would never go to on your own, because that's not your job. Your job is to support them, get their vision and their story into industry ready. This is also for a spec script.
Right.
What we do here is writing on spec scripts. This is not the shooting script. This is the spec script. This is the spec script that you hand to the industry that shows them your vision. And if that's clear and obviously your vision and your voice, that's what they'll respond to. And then you start all over again, and then you start your rewrites, et cetera, and you make it into a movie. But this thing here is, it's a very strange art form. It's a wonderful art form, but it's very specific. You know,
and rules change over the years too.
Every 6 months, somebody out there will come out, they need to bold, you need to bold something. Well, part of our job is to find out.
You need one space here instead of
two spaces. And, you know, what's up, comedies and all this.
Right.
It really is a joyful place to be. That's the thing. Yeah.
What, so, I mean, your group specifically is, there is a certain amount of, you know, turnaround of people who come in, maybe write one script, think they have all the answers, and then leave because guess what? They got a manager or they got someone and they left. And then we never hear from them again. And I really mean that, like we never hear from them again in any aspect. So what are your thoughts or like opinions? I know your opinions on it, but why should somebody find even if it's not yours, you know, why should somebody find their group, their workshop, their village, their people, and stick with it longer than just being a one-trick pony or thinking you have all the answers?
Well, first of all, it's such an isolating art, writing. And if you get with other people and you're reminded that it's about the work and not your ego. And doing the work and doing the process is the joy. If you think you finally have it, the truth is you don't have it. The moment you think that, well, then you don't need to be here anymore because you're no help. You were talking about it earlier, Shana. It's constantly learning. Judy and I will talk after a class and go, where did that come from? How did that happen? Well, the truth is, there's a piece of magic that one of the writers gets a note, they take it home and they come back and it's made that, what we call it the leap. It's almost magical. And after 30 years, it never ceases to amaze me. And the newbie, the new person, it's about honing the craft. It is a craft. Art is a craft. And in this room and with your other people that you go to the workshop, you have to respect the craft. You have to learn the craft before you can break it. And then it takes a lot of work and it's not easy. There are a lot of depression, moments of depression because you're on page 60. And then I get all the next
page
crap.
60 blues right there.
But you get past it because it's honing the craft. You learn how to do that. And then when the real world comes along, that craft is in you have that. It's 10,000 hours of that craft. And whatever they throw at you, you can handle because you've done it. Or you've heard someone else do it, which is wonderful. Or you've gone to a huge, a real, honest to God, not a screening where, we rent out a theater and there it is. And it's going to go on to make hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's like, what? How did that happen? Well, and a lot of that happens through competitions, networking, like meeting wonderful people through an ISA.
Like what you guys are talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's not any one way to do this. But staying with a group of people who you trust, there's the trust. Because often things that you do don't work. And you have to go, well, that didn't work. So instead of being defeated by that, you make it work. You turn it around because you trust these people have your best interest in mind.
Also, in addition to what you were saying, Shana, maybe there are people out there who can go into a room all by themselves and just write and do it right. I can't imagine, even when I wrote for a couple of years on a soap opera, which was just silly, but it was fun. And, and I had to do a script every week, and I never handed in a script without showing it to Joe first. That's the way I am wired. but you know, who knows? Maybe there are. I know of groups or have people in it who've won Academy Awards for their writing, for their scripts, like Crash and things like that, that are still in writing groups because that's the way they work. So if there are people out there that can do it all by themselves, like maybe that person who just walked by, you know, power to them. But I don't know of anybody that personally that can do that. But maybe those people disappeared because they thought they could do it by themselves. And if they did, I never heard of them again. I never saw anything that they wrote on screen. So I don't know. But for me, I can just say personally, I can't imagine writing a script without having someone I respect or a group that I respect giving me feedback.
One of the greatest things that I love, particularly about our group, is that when you're writing by yourself, you can sometimes let yourself off the hook a little bit. Where you're like, I'll just grace over that little thing right there. It's fine. I'll fix it later. But you can't really do that because obviously someone in our group is going to say, that didn't make sense, or I don't get, or that part, what was going on there? So it's a way just subconsciously while you're writing of going, Clarissa's going to call me on that, or right. I'm calling out Clarissa because she would. But you know what I mean? Like, it's a way, because I think that a lot of times when you are writing by yourself, you can sort of go, sure, it works for now, you know, and then you forget about it. And then it's in there, and then you're like, you know, and then you're 30 pages later and you haven't fixed that problem, which is a domino effect of everything else.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why we worked so very hard on the first act.
Right.
We spend a lot of time on which is the character, setting up the character, who's the character, why are they there, why are they doing what they're doing, what do they want. I mean, you know, it's very basic, but so hard.
Yeah.
That just, I hadn't thought about this for a while, but it just flashed me back when we taught a couple of beginning classes at UCLA. People would say, what's the difference between character and structure? And I would say, character is structure. If you think about it, what happens to the character at the end of the first act? What does the character want? What is the arc of the character? So it's structure and character are all connected. And they're the same. Mm-hmm. And people go, what? But that's not and then they get it.
Right.
Yeah.
That just reminded me, Judy. Joe always talks about, and he pushes us a lot to write to the pain. And I've read a lot of scripts where you feel they're right on the edge of doing that, but they don't go there. So will you just touch, Joe, on writing to the pain and what that means and why it's important?
Well, it's very important to me because it's the only time it really works. It's the only time that the characters, no comedy, it doesn't make, life is pain. And it's, and writing as an artist, it's finding that pain, finding those moments, and how do we get around it? How do we jump over it? How does it affect us, the way go through it? So I always write to the pain. That's whatever the scene is about, there's something painful going, you know, in it. That's suggesting itself to the person, to the situation. And one of the things I am is a big Jungian, and he always talks about the shadow self, right, Clarissa, if you're out there? And you know, if you can take advantage of those kinds of things. And there are a lot of books, Hero's Journey, you know, which also speak to this. So, you know, getting inside the main character's skin, that's what I always say, rather than being observational about it, what you do is you come in, and that character can only do what they can do because you've created them and you've given them their pain and their laughter and whatever. Yeah.
Excellent.
And they start to pop. They also pop off the page and they sound authentic.
Right.
Which is, that's one of the magic things. When the character goes from sounding expositional to real, it's 9 times out of 10 it's finding their pain and what they want.
And then your character will lead you in the direction that they want to go, that's to me where the magic is. When I'm thinking about, like, if there was an outline of sorts, if I'm thinking it's going to go one direction, and then all of a sudden your character just takes you somewhere completely different, which is the right way to go, versus thinking you have to write to a plot point.
Right, and the plot point will always be there. I mean, the plot point is all, first act break is page 23, 24. But it's a difference between writing to the plot point and having the character discover the plot point. Plot point's the same, but and it might not be the plot point that you thought it was going to be. Because when that character shows up at page 23 or 24 and you need something else, well, you have flexibility.
To your point also, Shana, about letting the characters lead you. I don't remember if it was in your class or another class, but somebody had just been to a big seminar at Royce Hall or someplace where a famous writer was speaking, and he told on himself. He said, "I am not going to say, let the characters lead you. I am not going to say, let the characters lead you, because all the other big writers say that, and I'm going to say something different." And by the end, he was saying, "Let the characters lead you." He said, "I couldn't get away from it. That's just the way it is." So he told himself, because you're right. Let the characters lead you.
But it's also fun. It makes it more fun. You get surprised.
And
real.
I didn't know I was there. How did I end up there?
So I'm going to pull a question. So if anyone has any questions for Joe and Judy, besides where can I sign up, because I've seen all those and we're going to get to that. If anyone has questions, put it in the Q&A box really quick, because I'm going to start going through those. Joe and Judy, this is from Anonymous, so I don't know who it's from.
Oh.
How do other introverts deal with social anxieties in groups? How do you guys deal with people who are, who come in a little bit more introverted than... Which is most people, right?
It's out. If you're in a group, like that, this is our job. It's absolutely our job to make that introvert comfortable. Give them a comfort zone. You get to know them. You only ask of them at the beginning to write what they're comfortable with. And when they start seeing successes and hearing successes, and all of a sudden you can see them relax. Because the truth is, there are a lot of introverts in these rooms, surprise, surprise, who are really loud now.
And the other students, I've got to say, like a new person came into a class last night, and everybody, "Hi, Roy. Hi, Roy. Hey, Roy."
Hi, Roy. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
I don't know who Roy is, but welcome.
I mean, you could say Roy going, okay.
And if you have that person who's kind of guiding it, you talk to them, and their job is to get to know you, understand your strengths. I always think of my job as the mentor is to remind these young writers and these young talented people what they already know. I'm just there to bring it out, to remind them, support them. And then all of a sudden, you don't have to become an extrovert. There's
right.
But it's a safe place. Whenever an introvert walks into a safe place, they know they're not being judged, except on the work. Hopefully you're funny all the time, occasionally, but other than that.
97%.
Sometimes you're blown away with what comes out in the introverts.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Whoa.
I think it's also helpful if you're in a writing group, because even when you're new, you're joining a new group of people. Any room that you walk in, whether it's a general meeting, I mean, not right now, but even on Zoom, any new room that you go into, whether it be a writer's room if you're working, or a general meeting or a pitch meeting, you have to adapt to the people in that room quickly and read the room quickly.
Absolutely.
And get yourself set up. So if you're somebody who's always writing by themselves and you're never in that situation, and you never have to put your work out there and kind of read the room, a writing group is a really good place to start to get yourself out there. And generally, I mean, I've talked about this a lot of times in different conversations we've had through ISA, but for me, I mean, I am introverted, but I've learned how to work through that. I mean, every time before I sit down, I'm like, oh God, I have to do this. And then I find that thing that says, okay, do it, you know, keep going. And it's getting easier for me, quite frankly, to just talk and be somebody in a space rather than kind of like, I remember Joe always makes fun of me because the first Christmas party we had, I sat on the couch and just watched everybody. I just watched everyone. And now I'm like up, you know, dancing and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's a great place to start if you are feeling uncomfortable in sort of a group or putting your words out there or, you know, getting any sort of critique on your words. And, you know, you can send your work out for feedback from contests, which is great, but those people don't know you and don't know who you are and what you're putting on the page. And a writer's group, once you find your people and your group really is that place for you to be honest with yourself and try new things, because the truth is, like, trying something new or trying a new way or a new kind of script, like you've never written a horror movie, so you're going to try it. That's a total safe place. And your people are going to see even if it's not right, because it's most of the time it's not going to be right at first. You're playing around, but you should be playing around. You shouldn't have to feel like the words I put on the page are perfect, because you're never going to finish anything.
And just to piggyback on that really quickly, the most successful, our latest most successful young writers, they got 2 serious jobs on pitches. And new writers rarely get jobs. You know, they heard the story, what the studio wanted, and then they went back and they pitched, and they got the jobs. And a lot of it was being, you know, comfortable, being in the room, and, you know, knowing that you know what you're doing. That's a big part of it, that, you know, you indeed do have the tools, because you've done it.
How are you guys working during this COVID, where we're not meeting in person? How has that been? I mean, besides Joe's hair growing really long.
This is my.
How does that work? And do you feel like it's a big change? And then also, I mean, we didn't touch on the fact that you guys do have international. We even brought Li Fu, who was part of ISA, joined from China.
ISA, absolutely.
We have Ruby from Australia, and it's very early in the morning. Hi, Ruby.
And then two in New York.
Li Fu
from China.
Mm-hmm.
It's one, you know, for me, it's
Pittsburgh and
I tell you, this is such an odd time, and the Zoom works much better than I thought it was going to. And as long as you use this in the most positive way, because God, I miss people coming over, and I had no idea how much I do miss it. But this, you know, you can get ahead, you can move ahead because there's time. And also, I must speak to at least 3 writers a day, a couple hours each, because there's time. You know, and Zoom, look at Zoom. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's you know, it's not bad.
Thank God for Zoom.
Yeah, I would be
right.
crazy.
So one of the tips that we do if you guys are gonna, if you guys are in the chat and you are looking for a writers group and you know, you're somewhere outside of LA, or you want to do this via Zoom with some other, you know, like-minded people, do it. Like, message each other in the chat, private message.
Oh,
put yourself out there, start a little group and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But what we do is we turn off our video while we're reading, and that does help with the sort of delay on Zoom.
Yeah.
Right. And there's hiccups every once in a while, you know, with connections and stuff, but for the most part, we've been pretty successful.
Also, don't be afraid to kind of like look around for the group that best fits you. There are groups, each group has its energy and it's supported, but you know, find that one where you feel comfortable. And you also can, you know, you can be a part of and supportive of other people. It's, and you'll know almost immediately. Are you supposed to be there? Well, yeah, you know, absolutely. They're helping me. You know, it's not about their egos. It's about the work. It's all about the work.
Here's a question. Jonathan Westbrook is asking, which is more important, prose or plot?
Prose or plot? Well, for me, they're such two different things.
Right.
He's asked what's most important. To give you, if you and I were talking, I would take a while to tell you why those are two different things. The prose is the literary ability, the literary talent to present your vision onto the page, and we work very hard at choreographing the read because it's not a literary paradigm, it's a poetic paradigm. So you're working with poetry, strongest images. Oh, here you go. Strongest images supported by the least amount of words. So that's the prose. So that's one way, you learn that and get good at it.
And the character, the prose, and the plot, they all meld together.
Right.
They're not separate.
The plot is more, not formulaic, but, there are certain things, it's a story. And yes, they're within the first 5 pages, there are things you need to get to know who is the main character, where do they live, who are they, what, show me, don't tell me. Oh, there's another one. Show me, don't tell me. No exposition, please.
And the prose and the character tell you the plot.
Right. And the plot is the story. It's those points in the story that allow you to move forward.
Right. And here's another question. D. Jackson asks, do you find that participants with experience in other film or TV disciplines add value to the writer group?
It all depends. Sometimes it's the best. Well, first of all, Judy and I have done 30-minute, 60-minute movies of the week and features in our world. So no matter what you're working, because each one of those is a different animal. A 30-minute pilot, a 60-minute pilot, a movie of the week is, and now because of the venues, everything is starting to, well, look at, dead to me. Who knows what's going on? But if a person, like, oftentimes I'll have a TV person who wants to move into features, and they were very successful as TV people. So what they have to do, and it's their job, they have to set aside their success and the knowledge that they have on a TV show if they want to do a feature, because a feature is a completely different animal. You have 95 to 100 pages of breathing and exploring. In a 30-minute, you have every word has to be perfect. There's very little arc because those characters don't change much.
And they have to keep going.
And
there's a season arc.
There's episode arc and a season arc, and there are rules. There are definite rules to 1 hour and 30-minute television that we don't have to deal with in independent movies because part of us, what we do is break the rules.
And Lisa Marie started out in feature. She had a feature that was made and was in the indie world, but it was quite successful. And then she wrote an hour pilot and went into Law and Order SVU, yeah. So she changed from feature to television, and the rules had to change because there had to be specific outlines and everything. So it's just, I forgot what the question was.
You're good. I think you answered. Yeah.
Being flexible. Yeah. I mean, you're an artist for hire. Right. So learn the craft.
Adjusting, yeah.
Learn the craft. Is it 30 minutes? I mean, and do you want to live in a 30-minute world? You know, that's one thing. Do you want to live in an indie world? That's another thing.
All right, here's a really great question. I love this question. You guys are gonna like it. From Lawrence, I'm not gonna say your last name, is Whitner or Whitner. Hi, Lawrence. I am 69 years old. My stories now have 52 wins and 150 noms on IMDb. I've had so many pitch meetings and can feel heads turn away when Santa walks in. Oh, do I need to buy a new body or hire a surrogate? Can you give young Lawrence a little pep talk?
Oh, of course. You're only 69? Well, Lauren.
Just a baby.
Just a baby. You know what? If you're getting that close, it's a big part of this is like joining the ISAs, doing the competitions, because there's also a part of it landing on the right desk. That's your script, your lands on the right desk, and those people get it. And those people don't care if you're 69 or 29. Is it a good story? Is it well presented? Obviously it is with you because you've done well. And just don't give up. And you know, it's even more fun in your 70s than it is in your 60s. Because, well, you know, you're still doing it. You're a lifetime of, you're still an artist in your 60s. So congratulations. You're 69 years old and asking a question on ISA.
That reminds me of something I hadn't thought of for a long time. Dr. Seuss got 42 no's before he got his first yes. And he reminds people it only takes one yes, but sometimes you have to go through 42 no's. What is this rhyming thing that it's for kids and stuff? 42 no's before he got his first yes. So, like Joe said, just don't give up.
And one of the little
Keep
things,
trudging.
always get to your next project. The minute this project is finished, start the next one. Because your first project that's finished will have a life of its own. And that's, you get the managers, you get it out there. But if it's good, they'll often ask you, what else do you have? Well, if you have that second piece, or if you have it working and it's almost done, you know, be sure and don't stop with one. First of all, you need 4 or 5.
Sometimes they'll say, I love your work, but what else do you have?
What else? Yeah.
What else do you have? Because that's not what we're looking for. But
And that's a huge compliment. The moment they ask you, what else have you got, means
they like you.
they like your work, or they respect your work.
What Julian is asking, what are some tactics from your guys' perspective about avoiding procrastination and getting yourself to write? Do you guys have, I mean, crap,
Yeah,
I'm like the worst, right?
Yeah, if you sign up for, you know, what is it, October 21st, well, you will show up, or you won't be in the group. Unless, you know, I mean, we're in the bit, people get work, people get sick, people have babies, you know, life happens, and we're totally respectful of that. But, you know, if you sign up, and it doesn't, you know, there's no responsibility except to sign up and be there. There's no responsibility to be brilliant or perfect. It's to get the best you know, you've done the best you can. You've talked to me probably, or you've talked to other people in the group. Oh, there's the other thing. You start using the other people in the group to talk to, you see the strengths that they have, you know, and then on October 21st, you can't procrastinate because there are 15 people waiting to hear what you're doing.
Right, and sometimes the best stuff comes out when you have a day, it's the day before, and you're like, oh, what have I mean, how many times have I done that where I just go, but at least it gets it out of your head, and it might not be right, but it's something, and it's where you're thinking.
And if you're just working on something and you have writer's block or you're procrastinating, every writer gets that.
Sure.
We all do that. God, I haven't cleaned the house in ages. I think I'll clean the house. So we all do that. But I'm a firm believer in the answer to writer's block being right. Even if you end up throwing it away, erasing everything, starting over. I think the best solution for writer's block is to write.
And oftentimes someone will come in and go, I'm blocked, but I threw this together and it's going to be awful. And so we read it, and not only is it, yeah, and it's pretty awful, but there are 4 or 5 things in it that are wonderful, that are, you know, and everybody jumps on that and how to expand that wonderful, you know, and who cares about the entire piece? It's finding those 4 or 5 nuggets that allow you to get past that. You go, oh, that's how I get to the next sequence.
Yeah.
Right.
Trust yourself.
Clarissa Jacobson is asking, and this is very important to her, I know, and me too. So there's a lot of, you know, programs and groups that you can join that are like writers boot camps and like turn out a script in a month, which works for some people. But will you guys just talk about the importance of taking your time and writing well versus writing fast?
Well, if I can leave you with anything after all this time, you know, 10,000, 20,000 hours of doing something. Yes, do not be in a hurry. There are some people who can do that, and they do it brilliantly, and good for them. But, you know, I always tell the new people, your new script will take a year. It's especially if you have a job. Now, it may not take a year. It may take 4 months. It may take 5 months. But to learn, while you're learning the art and creating a piece that's industry ready, and I mean industry ready, that when that piece goes out, there is as close as you could come to being perfect for your vision, you know, and that just takes time. And to hurry that, you have to be able to hone to know what a first act is, to know how did you get into the second act. And then when you hand it out to the world, you know that it's the best possible work you could possibly do. And then, do they like it? Do they hate it? There's, you know.
And some people will spend a year on their first script and then go to their second script and be able to go through it just like that, because they picked something that they really are into and excited about. That doesn't mean they weren't excited about their first script, but they were also learning during their first script. And then the second script is just like, whoa, that was different.
And vice versa. I'm thinking of our Shauna. It was like she channeled her first script. It was like, what? You know, and it was all of a sudden just there after 2 or 3, 4 months. And then her next script is taking forever, because she's not channeling. My point is, every script, every project, and every person is different. Don't compare yourself, like our 69-year-old friend, don't compare yourself to the people who have gone before. You know, you're in there right now, and you're good, and you're making the best product you can, the best script.
Excellent.
You know, and we have enough Damocles swords hanging over our head anyway.
Right.
You certainly don't need to be tough on yourself about giving yourself arbitrary, well, you know, I have to finish this by July. Well, you don't. You know.
And probably one of the things that's holding him back, walking into a room thinking that people are looking at him like he's old. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, not in our.
That's his own, like, you got to get out of your head and stop, you know, use that to your advantage. Find the thing about that. You look like Santa. Make a joke about it. I don't know if you look like Santa, but if you do, make a joke about it, you know?
Hi, I'm old.
Own it. That's what Judy does. She's like, hey.
And I tap dance.
Right, and Joe tap dances.
Take my tap shoes with me just in case. One never knows. And, you know.
Don't we all?
Yeah, the inner critic will kill you. It will. And trust me, if your work is getting better, then you're on the right path.
Right.
And you'll know if it gets better.
You know, whether you like Neil Simon or not, I always recommend writers read his little book. It's just about this thick, called Rewrites, because it's hilarious, and he talks about the zillion rewrites he did on his first job. And anyway, it makes you feel better about the rewrites you do, and everybody does rewrites.
And actually, you know, the script, that's what you do, right? You do is you rewrite. You know, that's what we do. And that's okay, because, and so you're doing all of this, and if this is not your only egg in the basket, you're out there with ISA. You're meeting new people, networking, going to events of other writers. Even if you're that introvert, stand in the corner like Shana did and watch and see if
she's come a long way.
You know, just staring at, because it is show business. And there's a moment that's going to come that you're going to be asked to pitch your script, and there's something else you have to learn. You know, it's not easy. If there's something else you want to do that something else, because, you know, we've been in a lifetime now. I was thinking we've been a member of SAG and Writers Guild for 50 years now. And,
you know, I don't even remember Shana being an introvert. I don't remember you being an introvert, because now everybody wants to be Shana. So, I mean, you just.
Who, Judy? You tell who. I'm just joking. Well, thank you. I mean, I hide it well. I use that term fake it till you make it a lot.
Sure.
That's good for life. That's good in life stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 more questions, and then I'm going to let you guys go and get on with your day. First, someone is asking about, just specifically for your nights, how does the format of the night work? How many scripts are read? How long is it? That kind of thing. And then people want to know how they can find information about Twin Bridges, talk to you, chat with you. You know, you purposely aren't out promoting because it's word of mouth. So how would somebody, if they're interested, be in contact?
Well, just email me and put the ISA in the subject. My email is the letter X Hoofer, which means HOOFER, old tap dancer, xhoofer@gmail.com. And then in 1994, I, with another fellow, created the first online long-distance screenwriting course. I don't know what, it took us forever because, you know, it's 1994. What was the internet then? But I'm very comfortable with the internet, and we'll chat and we'll talk and see if it's for you. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can.
Do put the ISA in there, include that so Joe will know that it came from you guys.
Because it really, in these 30 years, we've never, ever advertised. And the reason I'm doing this is because I also believe in synchronicity. Shana comes to us and says, would you like? And you go, well, of course, because Shana invited us to do this. So we're supposed to be doing this. And whatever happens with this is wonderful. And so give us a call and give us an email and just put the ISA on top.
And if you guys want to, you can always email me at ISA, which is Shana, SHAYNA @networkisa.org. And you can ask me and I can introduce you. So if you have questions and you don't want to ask Joe and Judy directly and you kind of want to get a little bit of information, you can always email me also.
Sure.
And then will you just answer that one about how does the night work?
It's never the same. It's Judy is in charge of this. People sign up. I want them to sign up probably after they've written their first 5 pages, because I want the entire group to be in on the beginning.
This is my book.
That's right. And then so on one night might be a 5 or 10 pages, and then a 30 pages, and then a 20 pages, no matter where they are in that speed. So we would do 3 that night. There's some people that have finished their script and we're looking to polish it, so they would take the entire night, which for me is wonderful because it's never the same. And I never even look at what's coming up next unless, because I want to be, pleasantly surprised with what's coming at me if it's full.
And occasionally even if people are brand new, they've never written anything, Joe will give them exercises like we used to do at UCLA with beginning students, and it just gets people acquainted with dialogue and
these are very easy
exercises. They're not graded or anything, but exercises to let you know that you could say something with 1 or 2 words instead of a paragraph.
Or a fairy tale.
And a fairy tale that has a beginning, middle, and end, and somebody learns something, little frog learns something here, to not be afraid to jump to that other path,
right.
Stuff like that. And it just starts giving them a kind of a form to deal with. But those are, usually people are going in that have had a little bit of experience or written something and just never showed it to anybody.
Right.
Or something like that. But those exercises even sometimes help those people.
It also it changed. Like right now, we're kind of in between. Everybody has half a script. So like last night, we did 50 pages and took our break, notes, 50 more pages, notes.
2 totally different things.
Completely different things. So that
and that's in like a 3-hour, between 7 and 10 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
But we sometimes get done at 9, sometimes 9:30.
Sure.
Sometimes we go till 10:15.
It was 10:15 last night,
Yeah.
But technically 7 to 10.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, one last question. It's fun.
Sure.
What's your number one pet peeve in a writing group?
People who think they know more than they know.
Right.
Oh, and they want to give their opinion, and they
Suck the air.
They suck the air out of the room. They're vampires, and I ask them to leave at least by halftime.
Right. Judy, what about you?
Oh, it's like life's too short.
Yeah.
It's amazing once they leave in the room, breathes
Right.
again, and
Right.
you know, and
Judy's
in
thinking.
their defense, they're probably scared of, or that I don't care, after that. And they, most often, you can tell, they're just not pleasant.
Yeah, I have to go along with Joe, but I'm just trying to think if I have another pet peeve.
Well, Judy, what's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is reading a script that moves me emotionally or makes me laugh or whatever that emotion is, and I can feel, it's usually not the first time, but I can feel the growth that has come from the first time it was read to this time, be it the second, third, 10th, whatever. It's seeing that student has gone over a hump. It's so exciting because something just electric happens,
Mm-hmm.
and the script that used to be this has become that, and that is just gives me chills just saying it because it's so exciting. It's
Yeah.
so exciting when I think that grew from this and became that.
Right. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to let you guys get on with your day. Thank you so much, Joe and Judy, for schmoozing with me today.
It was a pleasure.
It
It was
was.
a pleasure listening to all of you talk before.
And meeting,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, I really like the whole feeling of your group.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really
Well,
good.
you're welcome back anytime. And for anyone who is looking for information, email me. You can email Joe. Find each other. Create your own writing group. See how it goes. But always keep learning and growing and sharing your work because that's
Absolutely.
Amen.
what we do.